What's up guys, Techmaster back with another video. And so today I'm going to be doing a review on the Apple Watch Ultra 3. I've had this for about 2 weeks and this thing is so good. I've been wearing this thing every single day. I don't have it on right now because I just woke up and it's morning here, but this thing is so good. I love the screen size. The battery life is obscene. It's so good. I can't even deal. So first of all, the size. So yes, it's a much bigger watch than the Series 9 I previously had, but I have bigger wrists and this band is adjustable and all that kind of thing. And so I've never really had it being super uncomfortable on my arm. For people with small wrists, this thing is going to feel like a brick. But for me, I don't feel like this watch is super annoying to have on or uncomfortable. And I would happily take the extra features of this watch, which there's so many compared to the size. I didn't really find this thing that uncomfortable. Sleeping was a little uncomfortable, but it's still totally manageable. And this thing has amazing battery life during sleep tracking, and it can lose as little as 5%, so it's crazy. Literally, the battery life is one reason that I am absolutely, like, this thing is insane. I had a full day of travel. I went to Arizona. I had this thing on for a full 24 hours. I only lost 25% to 75%. That was insane. I have never had any other watch with that kind of battery life, especially since my cellular antennas have been on. I haven't been away from my phone for that long or anything like that, but this thing is impressive, especially since I have cellular activated. My old Apple Watch had excellent battery life too. It lasted half the time that this one does, but the battery longevity was super good on my Series 9. I was actually at 96% after almost 2 years, which is super good because I do think the GPS models used less power. That's in my experience. My Series 7 was at about 92% when I replaced it with the SE, which I do kind of regret, to be honest. But I definitely could have kept my Series 7. But all the Apple Watch SEs have had much worse battery longevity, and that's one thing. If you really care about longevity for an Apple Watch, the SE is not going to be the best one because those will definitely start to show their age more, especially with their previous Ultra chips and that kind of thing. So if you're more of a user of your watch and you actually care about having it for a couple of years, probably don't get the SE because it won't last as long. But anyway, back to the Ultra. This thing, battery life is so good. I think that my old one was not bad, but especially on travel days back from Massachusetts, I'd still lose 50% throughout my day with no cellular activated. So this thing, and during the school day, this thing also lasts obscene amounts. I literally lose 1 or 2% sometimes throughout the entire day at school. That's a 7-hour school day. Super impressive. Obviously I'm not using it or anything, but that's impressive. One day I used it for calculator and away from my phone, all that kind of thing. But this watch, if you really care about battery life, this thing is insane. This is also better than the other Ultras. And one major improvement, which I'm actually going to point out right now, the charging on this thing is quite good. Some people were complaining about the previous Ultras taking a little longer to charge. This one now has the really fast charging. Not as good as the Series 11. It doesn't have the 30 minutes, but this thing, I can definitely tell you, takes no time at all to charge. I can put this thing on the charger even when it's at 70, 60%, and this thing is charged in no time. It charges much faster than my phone, probably because of thermals, but this thing is great. It charges super fast. The battery is endless. It's so good. Now onto the display. This has actually been another thing. At first, I was slightly hesitant. I thought the watch would be kind of big. But the other thing with having this flat screen, even though it's huge, things are so much more easier to press. So going into just general apps, I feel like even going into settings, all these different apps are much more usable and clickable. Because when you think about it, when you have a curved screen, your touches on these apps don't really register because the screen's being curved into the apps and all that kind of thing. So either way, that was one issue I had with even my Series 9. Sometimes I'd click apps over and over again and it wouldn't register for 3 or 4 times. That was kind of annoying because I was trying to quickly do something, use a calculator, do things. But now this watch is so much more usable, especially when clicking apps. Now, it doesn't change the actual usability, but in terms of the easiness to use and being able to click apps and have them register properly, this flat screen is super nice. And the display quality is also insane too. This thing gets up to 3000 nits of brightness outside. And this LTPO3 is really sharp and vibrant and all that kind of thing. I would probably not turn it up all the way to 3000 nits of brightness as that will consume more battery, but I have it at 1000 nits, and because this watch, it's not like an iPhone where if you leave it out, it's gonna dim down the display and overheat. 1000 nits of brightness, I just keep it at minimum brightness because it's already so bright. So I would probably do that if you care about preserving your battery life, because 1000 nits is so readable on this watch, even outside. Unless you're in extremely harsh sunlight, I don't think you need to turn it all the way up unless there's really high humidity, really strong sunlight, that kind of thing during peak summer months. Then maybe, but that also might cause your watch to overheat more too, because you're just cranking up the power usage on the brightness. But anyway, this watch has been amazing. I've not had any issues with it. So now let's get into, so I think overall this Apple Watch is absolutely worth it. Now, don't get me wrong, if you're coming from a previous Ultra, it's probably not worth it, and if you don't really care about the latest and greatest features, but this watch actually has several improvements. The hardware, it looks identical, but in terms of the emergency features, the satellite connectivity, 5G, thinner bezels, faster charging, these are very convenient features and actually make the Ultra more of a pro watch. Let's be real, the older Ultras took longer to charge, didn't have all these emergency cellular features, so some people might not have bought them because they were like, oh, they're not pro enough. But now this thing is definitely pro. If you're coming from an old ass Apple Watch, like a Series 5, even a Series 6, any in that really 4 or 5 year old price range, this thing is going to be substantial upgrade coming from anything older than a Series 7. I would say if you have one of the older Ultras, then it's probably not worth it, or a recent regular series Apple Watch. If you have a Series 9 or Series 10, you could probably hold on to it, and actually even a Series 8 or Series 7 maybe. But if you have a really old Apple Watch, like a Series 4 or 5, that kind of thing, the upgrades are going to be life-changing. Seriously, having all the different emergency features and all that kind of thing, it's just going to be so nice. And I would never use these things, but also the 5G cellular, I do think it's going to be very good. I've had it away from my phone once, but it does seem like these new modems are really helping with connection, because previous Apple Watches, because their antennas are smaller, they're not using 5G, their connection is really crappy. But this Apple Watch, I do think is going to have very similar connection to my phone, because that's kind of the experience I had when I was in Arizona for Thanksgiving. I had my watch sort of away from my phone, but we had similar service. So, and also people have noted better service on the Ultras too, so that is something to keep in mind. If you do care about that, then the cell service will be better too. And that kind of covers it up, guys. I will see you guys in the next one.